Welcome to Murder with the Missus. I'm Darren.
And I'm Amy, and today we're going to tell you about Grizelda and Dominic Hernandez.
Don't forget to smash that like button and go and check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, and Facebook. Like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to tell your friends. And we also have on the show with us
Haley. I'm waving.
Haley's
Hi.
back, y'all. We forced her back into the pod room because we're getting feedback that people like it when she's on the podcast.
Yeah. Oh, and good news.
Yeah.
We got a sponsor.
We got a sponsor. Yay.
Yeah. So we will put his ad on around the middle, just so you guys know.
Yep.
Little warning.
It's fun to listen to, too,
Yeah.
so you'll be
We're
good.
just excited. We got a sponsor and everything. It's a great company, too.
It's a big step for us.
Yeah, so listen in all the way through. That way you guys can hear who it is. That way
Show
you guys
them
can
some
go check them out.
love.
All right, let's get on with the story.
Okay, this is a extra trigger warning episode. We will be discussing child death. I know we generally steer clear of these types of cases, like cases involving children, but I found out about this case and wanted to share their story. We don't always have a resolution to the cases that we cover, so I like to include a solved one every once in a while to show that there is hope. It does happen. And this is also one that highlights some quick action on law enforcement's part. We usually have a rant about shitty cops, and this one is a good way to show that, yes, there are a lot of cases like that, but that's not always the case. We're going to see good cop and bad cop shit in this one. And it's a very interesting case I wanted to share. I also like to use these as bewares.
All right, I'll prepare myself
Get ready.
because I don't like the kid ones,
No,
but I'll be ready.
you're a trooper. Now we're talking about 27-year-old Grizelda in Laredo, Texas. She was a single mom raising her son Jaden with help from her family. And this is a very close family, so she had a very good support system, which is good because Jaden's dad was not in the picture. In 2015, she met a man named Anthony on social media, and it's unclear whether it was Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. No one really knows for sure. Anthony said he was separated from his wife, Amy, and she lived in Florida with their 2 boys. Anthony worked as a supervisory border patrol agent, and he and Grizelda started up a friends with benefits relationship. But Grizelda did end up getting pregnant. Anthony wanted her to get an abortion. But Grizelda was raised Catholic, and she was not willing to even consider that. He said he would sign his rights away. He didn't want anything to do with her or the baby. Luckily, Grizelda had her support system, though, and Jaden was excited to get a little brother. He would kiss her stomach when she was pregnant. And her sister Angelica was by her side on July 26th of 2016 when she gave birth to Dominic. Beautiful, smart, and healthy baby Dominic. Angelica was a nurse, and Grizelda decided to also go into nursing. So she went to school, and when Anthony noped out, she was determined to do it all on her own. But now in 2018, 6-year-old Jaden was in school, and she had to put Dominic into daycare. Daycare is expensive as hell. So she realized that she shouldn't have to do it all on her own. So her and her best friend Adriana did some investigating. They found out that Anthony was definitely married, not separated. They found out where he lived, worked. They even compared pictures of Dominic to his youngest child with Amy, and they were almost identical. They looked so much alike.
It's not too hard to find that shit, these days.
Right.
Everyone lives on the internet.
Oh, yeah. People are always posting their whole lives out there.
Everything.
Oh, yeah. There's some that, not to say that they get a little ridiculous with it, but
They put where they are. They
put
post
where
pictures
they're
of
at.
the house.
They post everything.
Everything. And then you've got all these internet sleuths these days too that can just pull up a picture and see all the data, like where it was taken, when it was taken.
Exactly. There's pins on everything. And even on Facebook, some people post where they work.
Oh,
and
yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Everything. So she reached out to him, letting him know that she was going to have to go ahead and file for child support with the state. He was irate at first, according to her family. They had never even met him, but Grizelda kept them up to date and showed them a picture of him, so they knew that much. But he was worried about how this would affect his marriage and his job. In their messages, you can see that when she would bring it up, he would deflect, and he wouldn't call him Dominic. It was always the baby. By March, he had been served in the child support case, and he decided that he wanted to meet Dominic. He tells Grizelda, in a few weeks, I don't think you're going to want to be my friend.
Well, what the fuck does that mean?
Sounds like a threat, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Why? Why would you not want to be his friend? What's he about to do?
Well, I mean, you did it.
Mhm.
You created this life.
Exactly. This is called
Manning the fuck up.
yes. That was a nice way to put it. But they planned to meet up on March 25th at the park. She had been messaging Adriana the night before saying that Dominic was fussy, stuffy, had watery eyes, and he was wanting to be held all the time. And that sounds like allergies to me. But she met up with Anthony anyway. Things seemed to be going well, and Anthony was telling Dominic that he was raised by his grandmother, so Dominic would have his dad in his life. He wasn't going to be raised like he was. Blah, blah, blah. Grizelda went to the car to get his sippy cup and snacks. Dominic's, not Anthony's. And on the way back, she heard Dominic crying. So she cut the meeting short and left. She took him to Angelica, the sister who was a nurse, and they stripped him down. And they find a bite on his right outer thigh. Angelica asks her if he had had shots recently, but he hadn't. So they immediately think it's an insect bite, maybe a spider bite. It's red, swollen, and he's in pain. The blood is so dark that it's almost black. They take him to the emergency room where they run labs and took x-rays along with the usual exam. They prescribe him with an antibiotic, a steroid, and ibuprofen. They write it up as an allergic reaction to an insect bite, and they tell her to follow up with his pediatrician and sent them home.
No, that doesn't sound right to me.
Right? Red flags, red flags.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hold on to your biscuits because it's about to get worse. His right foot had been colder than the left one, so Angelica had told Grizelda and their mom, because Grizelda lived with her mom, to keep an eye on that as well. The next day, it wasn't better, so Grizelda calls the pediatrician who couldn't get him in until that afternoon. But Mom took them to urgent care, and they ended up at the pediatrician as well, because everyone was just saying to give the meds time to work. The bite was in the muscle, so it was going to be painful, and they needed to just wait a little bit. He actually saw his pediatrician multiple times. On the third visit, the doctor said he was anemic and had cellulitis, so he started treatment for that and was to follow up in a few weeks. And Anthony seemed concerned too, asking if a spider bite could cause necrosis, where the tissue around the area dies, and they can. Grizelda and her mom planned on taking him to San Antonio to see a doctor there on April 11th, since they were getting nowhere in Laredo. Anthony said he wanted to see him, to take a look at him before they went all the way to San Antonio. He told Grizelda to meet him for breakfast before he had to work on April 9th. Near the Border Patrol station was Father Charles McNoby Park. It was along the Rio Grande River and had soccer fields and stuff like that. So she borrowed Angelica's white Mercedes. They dropped her off at work, went to Chick-fil-A and got her breakfast and brought it back to her. That was sweet. Dominic was in the back seat wearing a Baby Yoda shirt that said, "Lucky I am," and eating his nuggies.
Breakfast of champions.
You didn't read his shirt right.
Lucky I am?
Lucky I am.
Oh, that was
Just
amazing.
kidding. But it is always a good time for a chicken nugget.
It's never a bad time, right? Man, we need to clip that. That was great. On the way to the park, they stopped at Adriana's house so Grizelda could use the bathroom. She came out asking, "How do I look?" So she obviously wanted to look nice when she went to see Anthony. She is seen on the camera parking and then reparking in the parking lot at the park. She's seen pushing Dominic in a stroller, almost out of camera range. A police officer said they did see a woman pushing a stroller that morning on the path just before 10 a.m. Now, BPA Dennison is training someone and sees a gate open, so he pulls into the area to check it out. He sees Border Patrol Supervisory Agent Ronald's Kilo. And that's what they call the work trucks because they have identifying numbers that start with the letter K. But he sees Ronald's Kilo barreling down the dirt path. Maybe not like you think, but fast for a bumpy dirt path, so it caught his attention. He comes up to Dennison, who asks him what he's doing. Ronald says he's exploring, asking if he knows what's over there, and points to a brushy area. Dennison says it's an ATV track. So Ronald asks if it has an exit. Dennison tells him, "I don't know, go check." And Dennison and his trainee leave. At 11:20 a.m., Border Patrol Agent Ronald radioed in that he found an injured woman on a trail near the bank of the Rio Grande, over towards that brushy area, remember? Now BPA Laura gets to the scene with Ronald. He gets 2 pairs of gloves and gives one of them to Ronald. And he asks, "Where is all this blood coming from?" Ronald says, Let's find out, before he grabs the body without gloves on and picks it up, kind of turning her on her side because she was face down. Then he puts her back down. Laura finds out that Ronald only called it in on the BPA radios. Him being a supervisory agent, he should have called it in everywhere. Laura calls in to see where the backup is, and Ronald walks off. He comes back with a shoe and drops it at the feet of the body. And I don't have to tiptoe around it. He drops it at Grizelda's feet.
You named these episodes after the victims, so we all know it was Grizelda that they found.
Yeah, true. Now Ronald's walking around the crime scene like an idiot, dragging his feet in the dirt around the body. He kicked a bloody rock, and it rolled like a foot from its original spot. With this crime scene being so close to the border and the river, the initial theory was that this was a smuggling situation. Maybe she was trying to enter the country illegally and something went wrong. Laredo PD Patrolman Cortez was the first to arrive on the scene from the police department. He had already been told en route by dispatch that the woman reported as being down with lacerations on her head was likely already deceased. He got to the scene and was walking behind Agent Dennison canvassing the area when Dennison said, "I found another body." And this was the body of 20-month-old Dominic. He was 10 feet away from Grizelda and in a brushy area. The stroller was also found kind of thrown off to the side.
God damn it.
Yeah, this is why we don't like these. They had seen the white Mercedes in the parking lot when they came in, so they ran the tag. They go to Angelica's house, but get no answer when they knock on the door. So they use the door cam, and it alerts Angelica's phone. The detective tells her she needs to come home. They found her car, and she tells them that if they found her car, they need to find her sister and nephew too. They couldn't tell her that they already had. Her husband picked her up and they got home. And when she sees the detective face to face, he's wearing a lanyard that says homicide, and she realizes what's going on. She tells them that Grizelda was going to meet her ex, who was a Border Patrol agent named Anthony Burgos. Now I'm going to say it like that because I can't fix my mouth to speak Spanish, but his actual name is like Burgos. So I'm going to butcher it.
I don't think that's right.
It's not right, which is why I'm going to say Burgos. And this goes out to the people at the scene. There are two cops standing with Ronald, and they look at him because his name tag says R. Burgos Avilés. Coincidence? Ronald says, "That one out there is not my ex. I don't even know who the owner of that car is. I have a lot of exes." They ask for his ID. He says no. They ask for his name. He says Ronald Burgos Avilés. So Reyes asks politely again, "What's your fucking name, dude? Why are you not telling me your name?" "It's Ronald." Then Ronald lowers his arm. Knowing it's heading in the direction of a gun, De La Cruz grabs his arm. Ronald steps back, undoes his belt, and De La Cruz catches it when it loosens. They pat Ronald down and get his cell phone and driver's license, showing the name Ronald Anthony Burgos Avilés. They take him into custody at 1:57 p.m. and start building a case. So I'll run down what we learned in court.
He wasn't just a bad cop destroying a crime scene. He destroyed the evidence.
He was destroying evidence.
Yeah.
Why not do all that before calling it in?
He's the one who called it in.
That is so ridiculous. Oh my gosh.
It makes no sense, right?
Makes no sense.
Ugh. He's just drawing attention to
You
himself
can't
like
be
a
a bad
dumbass.
cop and a bad murderer.
Apparently you can.
He's like, "Hey, where's that trail go to?"
Yeah, exactly. And they think that he panicked, because he had already been seen by other Border Patrol agents, so he had to call it in quick, or they would have questioned why he took so long to call it in. So, it kind of comes together. Now, this seems like a good time to take a small break because we got that sponsor.
And now let's take a quick break for a word from our sponsors. If you live in an apartment, it can be murder to get laundry done. There is a better way, and it will keep you out of prison.
Since 2008, My Laundry Solutions has been your number one choice for washer and dryer rentals.
Ask about My Laundry Solutions in your apartment leasing office or schedule online at mylaundrysolutions.com.
They are available in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Springfield and Joplin, Missouri, Little Rock, Arkansas, Sherman, Dallas, Houston, and Lubbock, Texas. So many places. No credit check, free service. Your account is available online, and they professionally install. Check out mylaundrysolutions.com or call 4411 today.
It would be criminal not to give them a shot.
Beautiful.
There it is, My Laundry Solutions.
Our first ad.
Yep.
It comes out that when Ronald and Grizelda met online, he was using the name Anthony Burgos. I've told you about the stuff up to 2018. Now, when they met at the park on March 25th and Dominic got that spider bite, it came out that Ronald was actually scheduled with the Texas Attorney General to have a paternity test in their office on the 27th, 2 days later. He didn't show up for this appointment. On the 28th, he tried to set up another meeting with Grizelda, but it was canceled due to weather. On April 4th, we know he switches from communicating with her through Facebook to using Snapchat, where the messages disappear. On the 7th, he was caught scoping out the church, and he tried to set up another meeting on the 8th, but ended up rescheduling. You see, he knew that the cameras were going to be down on the 9th. Ronald's neighbor's camera, though, shows his driveway at the edge of the image. We know Ronald went on shift at 6 a.m., so you see him leave at 5:47. His wife leaves at 7:11, and then at 10:27, you see a kilo truck pull into Ronald's driveway. They were able to actually track that truck all the way through town by cameras. At his house, he gets out, and you can barely see his legs. He is wearing shorts and tennis shoes. He is not in his uniform anymore. When he leaves the house 9 minutes later at 10:36, you can see his feet, and he is in boots.
Okay, so he was at work in his uniform, changed his clothes to kill them.
Yep.
Went home, took a shower.
Yep.
And went back to work?
Exactly.
Okay.
Did he get his shorts and stuff to test it?
I will tell you right now that they never found his clothes or the murder weapon.
So was the rock that he kicked the murder weapon?
Nope.
No.
Good guess.
Yeah.
It was the rock at Border Patrol.
So he got rid of the stuff somewhere along the way too.
Had to.
Had to have. Yeah, since they never found it. Where'd it go? But his defense at trial made it seem like he went home because he had forgot to take his lunch with him that day. Now remember that their cameras were down, but apparently the DRI had cameras too, and they were working. And one caught a picture of Ronald's kilo truck in an area the opposite direction where he had Grizelda parked that morning. His radio also turned off in that area, which happens when the truck is turned off. Prosecutors say he came in the back way and found a place to lay low and wait. There was an area where Grizelda was found that the grass was tamped down, showing that he had crouched in the bushes, basically. Then he jumped out and attacked Grizelda. She fought back hard. They estimated that this took place sometime between 9:55 and 10 a.m.-ish, somewhere around there. And here's the trigger warning, remember? She fought so hard that she came out of her shoes.
That's the shoe that he dropped at her feet in front of all the other agents.
Yeah, he just happened to go over there and get it and then brought it and dropped it in the crime scene. She was stabbed 27 times. Most were in her neck, but also her head, shoulders, arms, back, collarbones, face, and hands. It was horrible. She even broke her wrist in the fight. Then he took her phone and went to the stroller. Dominic played with an old phone. He would watch videos and play games on it. And Ronald took him out of the stroller because they found Grizelda's blood on the straps, so they know. He carried him about 15 feet away and laid him down under a tree in that brushy area. He lifted his baby Yoda shirt over his face and stabbed him in the chest. When that didn't kill him, Ronald stabbed him in the neck. Dr. Ray Fernandez, who did the autopsy, said that he would have been alive for 5 minutes before going into shock from the blood loss, but it would have been 10 minutes until he died, saying it's rapid, but it's not instant. Apparently in that fight, he lost a belt keeper from his belt. He did get it from the scene, and it was found under his truck seat with Grizelda's blood on it. There was also a smear of blood on the tailgate, and it was of Dominic's blood. The only radio transmission that Ronald made that day was when he found Grizelda's body. And they said that was very odd to be on shift for 5 hours and have not radioed in that he had, cleared an area or done whatever he was supposed to be doing that day. And when he was taken into custody, they put him in the back of another kilo. He asked if he could take his Border Patrol shirt off because it was an embarrassment. On the way to the station, when they stopped at a red light, he turned his body away from the window and then slides down to where he can hide underneath it.
Chicken shit.
He was worried about his image. He didn't want to be seen in the backseat.
Exactly. He's always worried about his image. Now, in court, Agent Lara talked about being at the station giving his statement afterwards, and he heard that the victim was Ronald's side chick. He asked a supervisor there who corrected that, telling him that the woman was the mother of Ronald's child and the baby found was his son. And Lara broke down on the stand, saying that they were supposed to be the good guys. He's supposed to be watching my back. I was heartbroken. The herd of defense attorneys made their way to the bench and demanded a mistrial, similar to the Sarah Boone case, because when he said they were supposed to be the good guys, someone in the gallery said, "Thank you. Yes, exactly." The judge said he looked at the defense table waiting for an objection, but they didn't object. So he just advised the court on what they can and can't say during testimony, and the trial went on.
Just the facts, sir.
That's basically what he said, you know. He's like, you can talk about facts, but you can't put your emotion into it and things like that. Now, the medical examiner on the scene that day did not actually do the autopsy. Remember, Dr. Hernandez did. But she did get a call from Angelica requesting that she take a look at that spider bite. She told her whole story because I failed to mention earlier, but after he got that spider bite, he stopped walking. He couldn't use his right leg anymore. So he had been walking around like normal, running even. But after the spider bite, he started dragging his leg and then stopped using it and would crawl around. The ME called the hospital, who took the labs that day. And it just so happened that they had already disposed of his blood sample, so the ME couldn't further test it. When she looked at his leg, she went in deep, down to the muscle, and it was necrotic. Now, with an insect bite, typically a poisonous spider bite, the tissue at the site will be where the necrosis starts. And she said the hole in his thigh looked consistent with an 18-gauge needle mark. In May, the month after the murders, lead detective Garcia was told to empty out Ronald's lunchbox that they had taken into evidence, and it was starting to smell. I guess no one had actually looked in the lunchbox because Garcia found a syringe in there, along with an 18-gauge needle and a 25-gauge needle.
See, I was thinking that he,
Right.
injected him automatically
Right.
whenever you said that they thought it was spider bite or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first thing I thought of. But
Yes.
I didn't say nothing.
Right.
And now that just confirms it.
You just, confirmation.
That's why he told her that in a few weeks she wasn't going to want to be his friend.
Right, because he had tried to kill him.
Yeah.
He had already tried to kill him.
And then you see it didn't work.
The first time he ever met his son, he tried to kill him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it didn't work, he took them both out.
Why? Because of his image?
Because
right.
of, yeah, he didn't want his wife to leave him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He didn't want his job to be compromised. Ooh, let's kill some people then.
Yeah.
These were still in the packaging, the ones they found in his lunchbox. So even if they tested it, they wouldn't have been able to get anything off of those. And his lawyers tried using his prescription for testosterone as the reason that he had the syringe, but also as a possible excuse for what he did. With all this evidence, it was just really damage control on their part because there's no way they can say he didn't do it. They said that the combination of phentermine and testosterone could cause psychosis and affect thinking processes. And a lot of people ask why they didn't just test for something foreign in Dominic's leg or in his system, period, to see exactly what he was injected with. But as the ME pointed out, it's not that simple. Without Ronald telling them what it is or them finding some kind of evidence for something to test for, they would have to run thousands of tests. And the sample is just not that big. So they don't want to run all these random tests and then have nothing to test for if they ever do get a lead to go on. That makes sense?
And Ronald's not going to tell him because he's the one that injected it.
Right. And he will, he didn't even talk, but still, he definitely was not talking about that. The only things we've actually heard from him was what was coming out in court. And Grizelda was not the only woman he had seen outside of his marriage. He had been treated for 2 STDs. He was actually sexting with someone, not his wife, just minutes before the murders, literally 5 minutes before he murdered these 2 people. He was sexting with someone. They played jailhouse calls where he cussed out his mom for coming to court without telling him. Calls of him arguing with his wife. They played a video they found on his phone with one of his other sons on his lap, and he calls him something in Spanish a couple of times, and the baby starts crying. Then Ronald says, "Shut up," Why are you crying for, you dramatic little shit? I'm talking this kid was roughly 6 to 8 months old, maybe. The only time he showed a little emotion in court was when they showed pictures of him with his other kids. He did, however, get very excited to see his neighbor in court. He smiled so big. It looked like he was seeing a long-lost friend after being in prison for 5 years, but forgetting that the guy was there to prove that he came home and took a shower after he killed his own son. Fucking tool.
So he showed, like, no emotion at all?
No.
Did they not, like, show pictures of the bodies or the crime scene or anything?
Oh, they did. He just didn't react to them, or he just didn't look at them. He did have an advocate or whatever there with him and his team of lawyers. So she was kind of advising, I guess she was like a jury. I don't know. She was telling him how to act in front of the jury. It was weird. Because he is on trial facing 2 capital murder charges and possibly the death penalty. So you get a lot of public defenders when the stakes are this high. And they aren't dumb. They know all the evidence against him. So they just tried to plant doubt. They tried impeaching state expert witnesses and showing that he was a good boy when he got arrested. He didn't resist arrest. He didn't try to run. You know, that kind of shit.
He was a good boy. He was fucking treated for 2 STDs.
I know, but their whole thing in court was if they had to cross-examine someone, the defense would be like, hey, did he cooperate? Oh, he did?
Gosh.
That's great. Did he show you respect? Oh, he did? That's great.
Did he, though?
They're like,
No.
He's a good guy.
That's what they were trying to do.
He's
Throw
such a
out the
great
murder.
guy. He has a lovely marriage and everything.
Mm.
Oh,
Look at
no.
look
He
at
didn't
those
have
eyes.
Yeah, look at them eyes.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, they played like the audio of him cussing his mom out for coming to court because he had so much at stake and all eyes were on him. Cameras aren't on you. The cameras are on me. It's all about me.
But then
Yeah.
the neighbor comes in. It's like, hey, what's up, man?
It was literally like he was like
Y'all don't know this, but she just smiled and waved real big.
real big, like a 5-year-old when they see their mom at their Christmas concert. Hi. Yeah, it was really fucking sad. But I think his narcissistic ass didn't think that he would actually get arrested. He kept saying he needed to pick up his kids. In his interrogation video, he is yelling and arguing with Reyes and De La Cruz. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't want to argue with Reyes. The motherfucker's massive. But they already knew he was hiding something. They asked him if anyone had said that there was a pregnant scare, you know, like anybody you've seen, has anybody said they're pregnant with your baby? And he gave them 2 other women's names. It's just wild to see how these people act in these situations. Regardless, he was found guilty of 2 counts of capital murder, and then they started the penalty phase. Ronald seemed to have a harder time listening to Grizelda's mom, but I didn't see him cry or anything. He just looked very uncomfortable. But in the end, he was sentenced to life without parole for each count to run consecutively. And there is an argument for LWOP and the death penalty. The death penalty would cost more and has an appeal process where the family would have to go through this all again. But LWOP means that he can still video chat, be on social media, watch TV, get a job, watch his kids grow up.
So basically everything that Grizelda will not ever be able to do again.
Exactly.
Or the baby.
Exactly.
And he was saying he didn't want Dominic to be raised by his grandmother like he was. But now Jaden is going to have to be raised by Grizelda's family because his mom is gone.
100%.
Nope.
And Jaden understandably had a very hard time. He was there in court. He's now 12 years old. But he was supposed to talk at the penalty phase of the trial and he couldn't do it. He had to back out. And your heart just broke for him every time you saw him on camera. And there we are. Ronald requested a new trial, as they do. Mm-hmm. And we'll have to just see if he gets one, because that would mean the family would be hauled back into court and have to go through this all over again.
Yeah, whatever. You did it. You're guilty.
There's no getting around it. Her blood was on the keepers under his seat. Mm-hmm. Oh, I completely forgot that. Remember the 2 cell phones? So Grizelda and Dominic's phones. He took them and they found them in the front of the truck.
Oh my gosh.
And they were able to track Grizelda's phone to his house when he went home and took a shower and back to the thing. So they know he had her phone when he went home. So there's just so much evidence against him.
But yet he didn't know her.
I just saw, It's so funny. I learned a new word the other day. We were watching 911 and this lady called a cop a jackboot. I think this guy's a jackboot.
He's a jackboot. He's a jackboot for sure. But so, yeah. That's where we are. Good
All
cops,
right.
bad cops, all the way around.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to this one. We got through it. Catch us on the next one. Don't forget to tell your friends, tell everybody you guys know. We need subscribers. And if you do want to be a sponsor, hit us up.
Hit us up.
Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.